Edward here from earviewer.com. I have another video for you. Again, I'm continuing along on my exploration of how I experience these specific points in time and space. How these inputs, as Ingo termed them, how these inputs are converted through our mental processing core into mental processes that we then experience. And those mental processes come above the threshold of awareness, and we then describe them. We are describing our own mental processes that are being influenced or stimulated by an input that exists in some point in time and space, in whatever state they exist in. I don't know, I can't comprehend at this point what state these inputs actually exist in. But what I am understanding at this point, and I believe until I prove otherwise to myself, that the remote viewing process, or what you see, is our ability to somehow acquire these points in time and space somehow, and then we pull them theoretically through our mental processing realms, and these inputs are completely converted into mental processes that we then translate into words and concepts and ideas and shapes and all these other things. That's a complete conversion, but I am hoping to someday get a grasp of the state in which these inputs exist. And my pursuit is to, as these inputs stimulate these mental processes, and they have a specific quality to them that is distinctly different than a non-input stimulated process, in that as the stimulated process becomes available, I am wanting to explore the process itself in an attempt to get closer to the actual input, or what I consider input residue, meaning that the input flashes through and the processes are then stimulated and we are dealing with the end result. But I'm hoping that inside of the processes themselves there could be some type of residual input residue. That's my theory. And I'm attempting to explore and find that and experience it in some way. In going into this experience, again, I want to experience the process, and I also want to experience emotional processes that are being stimulated. That if there is something emotional at this specific point in time and space, I want to attempt to experience it as well. Ingo Swann, in his work, along with Hal Puthoff, of back engineering Ingo Swann's experience of acquiring a point in time and space and attempting to describe how he was experiencing it, and they put it into a process and they call it controlled remote viewing, or CRV. But along that journey, he found that he had an emotional reaction to the point in time and space that he was being asked to describe. He put a label on it. He called it an aesthetic impact. And what does that mean? It's a word or a phrase that's thrown around quite a bit, and when you say it, you tend to sound like you know what you're talking about, even if you don't know what you're talking about. But if we look at the term aesthetic, by definition, is dealing with a pure emotional sensation, as opposed to an intellectual interpretation of it. So it's a pure emotional sensation. Typically, it tends to be in regards to beauty, where we're reacting to something of beauty. But as we know in remote viewing, that is not always the case. We're reacting, it's a pure emotional reaction, a sensation to something. It could be negative, it could be positive. And impact is the force of one of the definitions of impact is the force of a new idea, or the effect or the influence of a new idea and its impact. So you can combine those two words together and you can get a better understanding of what Ingo was trying to convey in this concept of this part of his experience. And he labeled it an aesthetic impact. And going into this experience, I was opening myself to that as well, to experience the process of an aesthetic impact of the actual input itself, this specific point in time and space. The target, or the point in time and space, was an American Indian powwow, a celebration. And as I'm going through the process, I'm getting shape forms and some ideas that I could recognize in the actual feedback photo, and that's okay, big deal, so what? I'm not interested in that. If I was drawing Indians dancing around, I wouldn't be impressed, because I don't care about that. I don't care about that kind of accuracy. What I'm interested in is what processes are being stimulated, how the input is stimulating these processes in my mind, what areas of my brain are being stimulated, what neural nets are being stimulated, and what are they associated with as far as mental, their conversion into mental process, as well as emotional. So as I'm going through the process and getting shape forms and ideas and concepts, other emotional concepts began to come through that gave me, that stimulated my, what Ingo would term, an aesthetic impact. And those words were brutality, cruelty, and forgiveness. And so as those concepts came through, emotional stimulus came through with them as well. I began to experience the emotions associated with those conceptual words, specifically forgiveness. And they had the input quality to them, so I wanted to explore them further. And in exploring them, human rights and abuse and loss and all of those things came through. But I know from my own experience that I have placed within myself protective barriers, empathic filters, so that I don't have to go through the emotional trauma of empathically experiencing these sensations. Meaning that the American Indian, the suffering, the abuse, the brutality, the cruelty that the American Indian suffered, I will allow myself to experience it emotionally to a point, and then I will filter the rest out, or not allow myself to experience the full emotional impact that I am capable of, which would be too devastating for me, and it would take me days or weeks to overcome how I could actually experience it and feel it. So I have to protect myself, and I say that as I'm going into the experience. I have to protect myself from feeling too much and experiencing too much emotionally. And as I'm exploring the process that produced the concept of forgiveness and the emotions that are connected to it, you can see that where I am attempting to ride the wave without being completely consumed with it, because the emotions were coming up, and I was having to suppress them a bit or filter them, so I wouldn't have to experience too much emotional trauma. And that's something that I'm interested in, something I'm fascinated with. That's something that's just a part of this process. When you allow yourself to experience a specific point in time and space that you are completely blind to, you have no idea what it is, it could be something that is fun and jovial and beautiful, and it could be something that is connected with unbelievable cruelty that you would do not want to experience yourself. But that's what this is about. It's an exploration. We're exploring points in time and space. I'm exploring our ability to access this second reality, and how these inputs, how my own mind and my own brain converts them into a mental process, and how I experience those mental processes. So I hope you find that interesting, and many, many more to come. Okay, it's a journey through the processing realms to a point in time and space. There is a point in time and space. I haven't. What do I want to do there now? What do I want to experience the shapes that are there. I want to experience some types of emotions that are safe. I want to find something interesting. I want to find something that stimulates my curiosity. Find something that stimulates my interest. Find something that is inspiring. Find something that I'm curious about. That's what I want to do. Find something that I'm curious about. Find something. 6597. Whites, brown, black, horizontal, deep, smooth. Getting this random thought here, or could it be unimpeded, of washing, which is moist or clean. Why am I putting that? Because clean is a descriptor of a concept. Clean is an idea. Smooth. Also this is giving me idea comparators of clothes. Clean clothes, washing clothes, that kind of thing. But I am getting this, because I'm getting this idea of like something is hanging on something. Like that. And like that. Dangling. Hanging. And I'm getting this idea of a shop or a store with things hanging. Like that. Dangling. I think this is very interesting to me. I'm getting images, memory comparators of like meat hanging. Like a butcher shop. Something like that. These are comparators. Those are comparators. Something like hanging from a line. Hanging from a line. Hanging, dangling. Getting more comparators of like wind chimes. Hanging, dangling. Like that. Like a wind chime. They're interesting to me too. These are interesting. This is interesting to me. it's an idea as well. Idea. It's an idea that is right at the threshold, and I'm attempting to bring it up. Let me try this. 6597. Smooth, white, tingly, tapping, rustling, chimey, like sounds in the background. Sounds in the back. The feeling metallic. But wait. Like, I'm getting this. Let me make some room here. Let me try to get this. This is like a shape form idea, but it's something, and there's something on here. Like this. And like they're dangling. Are they dangling? Hanging? Dangling, hanging, smooth, white, green, blue, yellow, black. This is random thought here. Fishing line, Is it, that could be a comparator as well, comparator. Fishing line, like things. These are comparators, though. These are comparators. Okay. Now, I want to go into the comparator of the dangling, the fishing line, the meat hanging in a butcher shop, things dangling in a store. Think something's dangling. Now what? It's interesting to me though. Why would I be doing to it? Because it's interesting. There's something in this point in time and space, and what is inspiring or triggering my curiosity and my interest is this something is dangling here. Dangling, hanging. Wrapped around. It's like, like this idea of a fishing line. What does that mean? Like, secured. This. I mean, this is giving me this memory comparator of like sausages, or like hot peppers. Like a string of hot peppers that are hanging out, drying. Like that. Like a hot peppers, which is giving me more comparators of like either a restaurant or a store, ethnic. Oh, ethic. I just spelled ethic. That's interesting. ethnic, that kind of thing. You know, a cultural thing. A cultural thing, some like a, I want to say tradition. Yeah, but what does that mean, traditionally? A processing, a process, like hanging hot peppers to dry, or sausages, or meat, or dangling, or whatever, all of those things. What are they? They're a process. You know, they're processing something. Processing something. Processing something. Processing something. Processing something. White. Getting another comparator word here of blankets. You know. This is another comparator here of you know, a clothes hanger, clothes hanging. You know, that's another one. I mean, but what are they? They're all comparators of this idea. They're all comparators of an idea of this right here. Right here. Because right now, this is more interesting than this. Meaning this part here. This part here, for some, is where it's clamped on, sealed on, tightened on. What is it? Clamped, sealed on, secured, bolted. These are all comparators here. Why would this be more interesting here? Getting an image in my mind. Image comparator of a group of skydivers. A group of skydivers. This here, no, this, back to the, see here. Dangling here. You know, you can pick them. You know, here's like the idea is, you know, here, the person, and they're reaching up for one. That's the idea, reaching. Or that you can do that, you know. That you can do that. Okay, another word here, belt. Belt. And this is giving me a comparator of a conveyor belt, you know, the thing's going over or whatever, but what is it about this thing what is it about the clamp of it, or the way it's secured on there, the clamp on it? All right, let me. All right, give me some more space here. 6597. This random thought just came in of brutal. 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 Like cruel. Brutal. If that would come in, it would bring me over to this comparator here, like meat hanging. Brutal or brutality. That's really my first first AI experience of it. Brutal would be something not pleasant, a feeling of not pleasant. 6597. 6597. Looping. I'm also getting this idea of forgiveness. Forgiveness. You know, these are something going on here. There's something going on here. There's something going on here. Forgiveness? Forgiveness. Brutal forgiveness. 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 What did appear? Forgiveness. 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 Forgive who for what? Let me really look at that. Alright, I'm going to have to get rid of this for now. Okay. What do I mean by forgiveness? Forgiveness is something you've done wrong to others. Okay. I'm going to basically stage 5 on this now. Stage 5 means, where did that word come from? Why did that process, what is a process, what am I conveying here with the process that would show, reflect as forgiveness? There's a part of me that doesn't want to really go there, into that, like unpleasantries that I don't want to really have to experience, but forgiveness done wrong to others. Now, I don't want to go too far into it, but the idea of forgiveness, the idea of forgiveness. What is the idea of forgiveness? Remorse, sadness, but forgiveness is an after the fact thing. After the fact, you know, if forgiveness is, if somebody is wanting forgiveness, it's an after the fact. So, you know, post-event. post-event. And this is giving me memory comparison of like Hiroshima, you know, that kind of thing. Forgiveness, then we're post of forgiveness. Though there's something else about it. There's something else. I'm not hitting on it. What do you mean forgiveness? What does that mean? There's a meaning to it that I'm not getting, that is relevant, that I haven't gotten to yet. What is forgiveness to this thing here? What is the forgiveness? Like there's something wrong about it. There's something not right about it. There's just something not right about it. But what is that? It could be an innocent thing, it could be a bad thing. But what is it though? I'm getting these comparators like along this butcher thing, the treatment of animals. Or the environment. Or people. Some type of something that would result in a feeling of forgiveness. Something that would result in the request for forgiveness. And now I'm getting image comparators of environmental things and that kind of thing, or some kind of cruelty, or some kind. And I don't want to go there. I don't want to go into that kind of thing. So there must be something else that's interesting here. There must be something else that's interesting here, other than that. Because if this is something related to it, it's giving me an AI of sadness, but but I'm also exploring the idea of forgiveness, which in the process of the concept and emotional connection between the idea of forgiveness is sadness, meaning that if I go into the process that we call forgiveness, it is connected emotionally to sadness. There's an emotional connection to it. How it relates to any of this, I don't know, because I'm looking now at the process. Is there residue in there? Is there input signatures in there? Is there input signatures in there? Is there input signatures in there? Because it's like now, the place, these ideas of deprived, poor, that kind of thing. Rights, human or animal, environmental. All right, these are all things that I'm exploring this idea of forgiveness. The idea of it. And the emotional, because the process of it in my brain, the neural connections to that concept are attached to emotional stimulators. And now, this is where I'm at in my brain, is in these processes here. And these are more processing descriptors here of it. Meaning that even if this point in time and space is celebratory, there's still some feeling of sadness or loss. A feeling of some type of loss, bittersweet kind of a thing. A bittersweet feeling, you know. But again, I'm reacting to it. This is more my AI. My AI. Yeah. Some kind of loss. Weakness. Weakness. What does that mean? Weakness. A weakness be. Weakness. Weakness. What does that mean now? Weakness. Weakness, like a weakness. All this emotional stuff. This emotional stuff here. That either I'm reacting to, or maybe at this point in time and space, maybe there, or it could just be my own personal reaction to the stimulus. All right, we end on that.